Hot mics, hot show. Live from New York, it's the show that's eating gingerbread houses.
Yeah,
it's first things first.
The gingerbread house day.
Today, Brew, were the Dolphins exposed last night?
To those that didn't know what they were, yes. To those that didn't know that the Dolphins were a bunch of break dancers,
you're going to get the whole breakdancing community angry with
No, look, I know people aren't liking that breakdancing.
Really?
The breakdancers. The breakdancers don't like it.
Oh my goodness!
But
I didn't know they had the internet.
The Dolphins showed up last night thinking it would be a show, thinking it was showtime, right? They came. You hear the music?
Yeah, we hear the music. Yeah, we hear the music.
They came ready to break dance. They thought it was the perfect setting. Right, Monday Night Football, the second game, you got two games, that's odd, but the other teams were mediocre, pedestrian. So most eyes would be on the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And they were ready to put on a show. Tennessee was 0-6 on the road. Mm-hmm. All right, and here, look, Tennessee, you can't say a lot about them. They're not a very good team, but one thing they are is tough.
Yeah.
And they came to fight, and Miami did not fight. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, they had the game won, they gave it away. No, they did not play well all night long.
Well, that's important to
Their
know.
offense did not have a scoring drive, and not a real one. Yeah. Right, here's how they scored. First touchdown was a pick six.
Yep.
Okay, defense. Then they got 2 field goals. Second touchdown was a fumble.
Muffed punt
by the Dolphins. It was a 2-yard, 7-yard drive. 2-play, 7-yard drive. Third touchdown, another fumble, was a 2-play, 12-yard
exactly
drive.
Right.
So their offense did nothing. And I'm telling you, this is why they're a good team. They're a playoff team, all that. But Baltimore wants to fight.
Facts.
Kansas City can fight. Yeah. And that's where I think that the Dolphins will fall short. And heck, if they get one of those teams in the AFC North outside of Baltimore, that's going to be a fight.
If you can shut down Tyreek, the offense grinds to a halt. Mm-hmm. And in my estimation, their only real hope to make the Super Bowl was the 1 seed. Where A, you get the bye, so you are rested and fresh, against a fighter in round 2. B, you don't have to deal with inclement weather. This is not a team built to deal with cold weather or the rain or the snow. It's coming through Miami. And that loss last night made the 1 seed evaporate. That's gone for them now. Now they have to hope they hold on to the 2, and I think that is highly unlikely. They have the Jets, Dallas, at Baltimore, and home for Buffalo the rest of the way. If they lose
they
one,
lose 3.
100% they could lose 3. And Brew's point, because it was weird because there were 2 games on at the same time, I'm not sure how many people were locked into either one of them. Miami scored. That is the most fraudulent 27-point game of the NFL season. Brew is absolutely correct. The offense did nothing throughout the entirety of that game. And then at the end of the game could do nothing. So it was 13-13, and then Tennessee seemed to self-immolate in about 90 seconds, and Vrabel looked like he was going to lose his mind. Mm-hmm. They went muffed punt when I thought, oh, my God, the Titans are going to steal this game. 13-13, have 1 field goal drive, shut them down. Miami instantly scores. The very next play, they do a pitch. The pitch, hey, maybe you guys were right that Brock Purdy's pitch to Christian McCaffrey took some skill because
like throwing it at him like he's
Will Levis tried it and it goes awry. But then Tennessee seamlessly goes down the field, and now Miami's in a spot where 1 first down wins the game. They can't get it. Tennessee then instantly goes down the field again. Now, I actually thought Tennessee maybe scored a little too early in that spot. Like Derrick Henry had an opportunity, if he wanted to maybe go down at the 1 and to where you could. I'm not saying he should have, but it went through my head. And I'm like, okay, Miami just needs to get in field goal range. And they couldn't. And I understand Tennessee is a tough team, but they are not a great defense. No. They are. You mentioned Baltimore, Kansas City. Those are great defenses. So this, to me, is an indictment on what their actual upside is. Because Tyreek, as great as he is, he's not injury prone, but he gets, watching me Kansas City, he gets dinged. Yep. You know what I mean? And any given game, you can see him have to go to the sideline like this one. Now, this was what looked like could have been a serious injury that luckily
put himself back in.
Put himself back in, then he was back out for he wasn't on the field for that final drive. Like, Brew had it exactly right. They are a good team. They needed, much like I felt Detroit needed, home field and everything to fall right to be a real Super Bowl contender. Neither have that now, and now they're in the same bucket to me.
All right, Tyreek Hill sidelined for most of the night after an ankle injury, which left the Dolphins' potent offense looking toothless. No touchdowns for Tua, who had a streak of 21 consecutive games with a touchdown pass broken. Your MVP odds, Dak in the driver's seat. Brock Purdy, number 2. Lamar, Jalen, Tyreek tied for 5 with Mahomes. Josh Allen, and then Tua. So is Tua officially out of the race, bro?
Yes, and honestly, he's been out for weeks for me. In fact, even more than a month for me. Just watching him, and that's why early in the season, I was really talking a lot about Tyreek. All right, because Tua, to me, has too many pedestrian, mediocre games. Okay, he'll have the big ones, obviously, the Denver game that we've been talking about. But last week, just 3 weeks ago against the Jets, he had 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions.
They embarrassed quarterbacks.
The Jets are sneaky.
But I'm just saying, but this happens with, look, the last 5 games. These
against
are
the Chiefs, he wasn't great.
6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The last 5 games. That's a lot of the season.
Yeah.
And then here he is against the 3 of the top teams they face, because we know they haven't beaten any really good teams. Mm-hmm. Kansas City, Philadelphia, Buffalo. He's got 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and throws for 230 yards a game.
Yeah, and everybody cooks Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, so and he still couldn't put up yards against Philadelphia. Their offense is I actually think, we're going to talk about is Brock a system quarterback. To me, Tua looks more like a system QB than Brock.
Of course he's a system QB.
He's throwing the deep ball to Tyreek or slants, and it's all timing. So when Tyreek's out, their offense falls apart. Of course he's a system QB, which is why, to me, he was never a legitimate MVP candidate. So Wildes had a tweet last night, and I'm not mocking you for this. I just think it's noteworthy. I promise I'm not mocking you. But they had a tweet last night.
About to be mocked.
No.
I got a lot of replies. The ratio on that one, I was like, ooh, I just meant it was a game-winning drive.
Wildes tweeted that this could be an MVP moment for Tua. When
I said it could climb the ladder.
An MVP moment for Tua is, if I'm misquoting you, I apologize. And Wildes, this is why Wildes should just tweet graphs, pictures, and pithy things about the librarian.
Well, that's a great take.
Because but you don't like when people are mean to you on it. I could feel it hurting your feelings from across the city.
How am I going to write them if I don't read them? I'm in the comments, dude.
All right, so, and I kind of, in a smart-ass fashion, quote tweeted it and was like, yeah, but he can't because he's not. It was the short version of it. And this is kind of about Purdy and kind of about Tua, but it's really just about how we look at quarterbacks as a whole. So I just want to give you the most simplistic buckets possible.
Okay.
Bad, good, difference maker. The bad quarterbacks, no matter where they're drafted, you can be Marcus Mariota, Mitch Trubisky, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, all top 5 picks.
Right.
They have no chance of having extended stretches of good ball. They might have a game, they might even have a month.
Sure.
But over a long enough period of time, no matter who's around them, they are going to drag you down. Then you have the vast majority of starting quarterbacks in this league that are going to look exactly like their talent does. If they have mediocre or bad talent, they will look mediocre or bad. If they have good talent, they will look good. If they have great talent, they will look great. That is my guy Baker Mayfield. That is Jimmy Garoppolo. That is Geno. That is Goff. Think about Jared Goff. We have had 5 versions of Goff. Goff when he came into the league. This guy is the worst #1 pick ever. Goff the next year with McVay in a system and Todd Gurley. Highest scoring offense in the league in a Super Bowl. Goff all of a sudden when the weapons start to go down and the offensive line does. Oh my God, he's going to be benched for John Wolford. Goff with an offensive line again in Detroit. Oh my God, he's good again. Goff right now. Oh, did his hand shrink again? It's 5 guys. It's the same player. Derek Carr is this guy. Mm-hmm. Daniel Jones is this guy. Tua and Purdy are these guys. Now,
but there's degrees.
There's degrees. Exactly.
That's a big range.
No, of course. But they are all going to sink or swim, not based on themselves, based on their talent and their system. And then there is what everyone is searching for. And there are not many of them. And there's Mahomes. There's Allen for his warts. There's Lamar. There are the true difference makers. And so I was watching that game. It's why going into this year's draft, I didn't see what you saw in C.J. Stroud, I was looking at Bryce or Richardson. And I said, well, I would take Richardson because he might be a difference maker. And I know that Bryce won't be able to be at his size and measurables. I watched that game last night, and this will get Dolphins fans mad at me. If I were starting a 33rd team next year and they're like, hey, we're not going to tell you the talent around them. You can have either of those two quarterbacks. Which one will you bet on? Tua or Levis? I'd say, well, I know what Tua can't be. Levis might be. And he might be a difference maker. And if you don't have one of them, you are always searching for him. And that is the frustration for me about the Purdy conversation. It's the same thing about the Tua conversations that we've had. We don't have as much on this show, but I hear it. I just watch these guys, and I'm like, he is a good player who looks great and has great stats because of a great all-time legend in Tyreek Hill. And the moment he's gone, it falls off.
The only thing, and I tend to agree with a lot of what you said, the only thing I'll say about Tua is he did win and put up pretty decent numbers even before Tyreek got there. Even with Brian Flores. So they were winning with him.
He had his moments, but when that was happening, the team did everything legal and some illegal to try to move off him. They tried to trade for Deshaun. They were rumored to be in the Russell Wilson sweepstakes. They tampered to try to get Tom Brady and lost a draft pick. They, in the building, were like, not a difference maker. And that's where I get, and I don't know why I care about it so much, but like frustrated when we are talking about things that I think matter, like the league's most valuable player award, and it is someone who is a good player being discussed in that realm.
Can I speak on behalf of Tua fans worldwide?
Sure.
The Tuaverse?
Tuanon, yeah.
I would say that the Tua fans would say, well, Patrick Mahomes has one of the, maybe you're claiming, the greatest tight end of all time. He also had Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
We saw Jalen Hurts make a leap once A.J. Brown got there.
Right.
We saw Josh Allen make a leap once Stephon got there. Amari Cooper, very good. CeeDee Lamb, very good.
Yes.
So
Dak makes a leap.
Yeah. All we talk about Lamar is like, hey, he needs more weapons because he can't thrive until he has these great weapons.
But if Tua fans or any fans are making that point, I would argue they are proving my own. Because, yes, Lamar, in order to win a championship, might have needed a little bit more. But Lamar immediately walked into the team and they changed. They were a bad team that became a playoff team.
But
the next year was the one
his
seed.
Running. I think Wildes made a great point about all these other passing quarterbacks. And I know the MVP year, he threw it well, very efficiently.
Well, part of the reason Lamar is a difference maker, to be clear, is because of the running to go along with it.
I get it, but they also have a ceiling on where they can go. Joe Burrow is the greatest thing since sliced bread. He won't even let one of his wide receivers go. I need two number ones to succeed.
Well, hold on. I don't think that's an indictment on Joe Burrow. I mean, he's done nothing to prevent them or make them.
No, but he wants both guys there. Well, they went all in because it wasn't like Patrick Mahomes where we can let go of a great wide receiver and still thrive. Right. We think Joe Burrow needs T and Ja'Marr.
Right, but the point that I am trying to make is Tyreek has all of that, and nobody thought, I don't think, Dolphins are winning the Super Bowl this year. And if they had the difference maker to go along with all that, they'd be if you have the amazing weapons and the true difference maker, that's what turns good teams into great teams and champion teams. And Joe Burrow, when he had that in his first year, healthy year as a starter, they got to the Super Bowl. Like that is the difference. I just don't think
it's, and I think Wildes brings up a great point about it. It's not quite as black and white as you're saying.
I said it was overly simplistic.
But it's not that black and white.
All right.
Listen, I think he fell on his sword a little too hard there. I don't think this was a bad example. I don't think this is a problem. I didn't think it was a problem when Tom Brady chased refs into the tunnel a decade ago on Monday Night Football. I think if you do it all the time, it's a problem. I think that if you are constantly losing your mind at things, it can be a symbol of a bigger problem. And I think that if he would have done that to go after a teammate that he is going to need in the future, I think that is a problem.
Well, Brew thinks that's the solution.
No, I don't think Brew doesn't want
behind the scenes.
Yeah, you don't want him to do it publicly and embarrass the guy.
Sprinting after Kadarius.
And I'll be honest, While Patrick seems to be, in a more measured state 24 or 48 hours later, the more and more screenshots I am sent of Jalen Waddle lining up where Kadarius Toney did, of Kadarius doing it 5 times during the game.
That's the dumbest. That's one of the dumbest things that was circulating on the internet.
Tell me.
Because you got pulled over for a speeding ticket and you looked at the cop and was like, I speed here all the time. I've been speeding for an hour.
No. I think people do. They're used to going 45 in the 35.
So they're going to give me an award. Give me an award in the first quarter. It's ridiculous.
Let me ask. Okay, Wildes. So again, you've used this speeding analogy or a law enforcement analogy in 2 straight days. In 2 straight days, you've gotten it half right. It would be more like if you drive past the same cop every single day, wave at him going the same speed, and he does nothing. And then you drive past him one day with a just married banner and things hanging behind, and you wave at him, and that's when he pulls you over. And you're like, really? I do this every day. And he's like, sorry, pal, rules are rules. You might be a little pissed. If you do it all game and you don't get a flag, and then you do it with a minute left, he's like, oh, we broke the rules. You might be justifiably angry.
Here's the problem. They did it before the play. Or they did it before Mahomes threw the ball.
No.
So they didn't know, oh my gosh, this is going to be one of the greatest plays.
But they knew it was a minute and a half left in the game.
Yeah,
go ahead, sir.
But I like what Mahomes did. I think he should have done it. Now, Mahomes does talk about being a Christian. And the language he was using, Christian's not talking like that. So I like what he did. I like him coming out. It's good for the kids. And like I said yesterday, I would like to see him go off on his receivers like that and show some anger and frustration with them. And I would like to see, honestly, Nick, he needs to let Brett Veach, the GM, know, look, we'll see how this year goes. If they win the Super Bowl, obviously, hey, Rasheed will get better next year. We'll be fine. But if they don't, he needs to go to them like, look, he did a team-friendly contract. I know it's renegotiated and all that, but he didn't take all the money he could have so we could keep some great receivers. And even if they win, Nick, again, Super Bowl is a Super Bowl no matter how you get it, right? But this is one maybe we think it's the best quarterback we've ever seen. Yeah. Get him some receivers so he can thrive, not just winning, but statistically and all that.
So I thought one of you would bring up this point. I'll do it because I think the Tyreek Hill was a smart move. I'm glad they did it.
Sure.
The move that, especially if you watched last night, has to really stick in your craw is not getting DeAndre Hopkins. When he was available, was not super expensive, was not a long-term deal, and you saw him out there. Well, if you guys do remember, when I initially started talking about 20-0, I said, if they sign DeAndre, I'll do it. And then they didn't.
I don't remember all
that. You were making fun of me. And then they didn't, and I did it anyway. But one last thing on this.
I have another thing for Brew, too.
Go ahead, Wildes. You go.
No, you finish yours. Mine's going to be a mic drop.
Okay, so you remember last year the mayor of Cincinnati said, Joe Burrow's paternity test or something about Patrick Mahomes, parentage, and they used it as a galvanizing moment.
Yeah.
I think some cartoonist for the Buffalo News may have provided it. Did you guys check the? My! We don't have a bulletin board big enough for this Adam Zilgis. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. And it says entitlement. Blame the refs.
I know that.
And I'm
shocked that the bulletin board.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to defame the bulletin board by putting up this sketch up there, but I'm just letting you know. It might be. I'm sure that's on Patrick Mahomes' desk today. Go ahead, Wildes.
That isn't great.
They play the Patriots, hottest defense in the NFL.
Really? Is that true? They're the hottest defense in the league?
Yes, they 100% are. The best run defense in the league in the last few games. Okay. A lot of rearview mirror watching. Patriots been worried about the Chiefs since Friday. Andy Reid still talking about the Bills.
What do you mean still?
Still talking.
So what do you mean? Yesterday was his post-game press conference. He was asked about it.
Yeah, and Bill Belichick was asked about it. You know what he said? I'm focused on Kansas City.
I don't think that's true.
Hey, he wasn't talking about the Bills. He was like, hey, want to talk about...
Okay.
This is their season.
Want to talk about the Steelers game? Like, no, man, that was a long time ago.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.